Help! I just beat Ghost of Tsushima and now I'm dying for a sequel. Where on earth is Ghost of Tsushima 2? So I'll be honest, I kind of have a complicated relationship with Ghost of Tsushima. When it first came out, we were kind of in the heyday of open world games, and we were hot off the heels of Breath of the Wild. And I don't know, it kind of changed my perception of open world games, and I didn't give Ghost of Tsushima its fair shake until 2024. I absolutely love this game. Going through it has been truly an absolute blast. I think what surprised me the most was actually how fun the gameplay can be, how fun combat can be. I think towards like the middle of this game, I would say the second act is when the game just starts getting really, really fun. The bases that you have to take down and the challenges that the game presents itself with really start to kind of get the neurons tingling and get the player more engaged. And it actually becomes pretty emergent and, like I said, just really, really fun. However, you know, it's a 2018 game, and it feels that way. You know, there's some jank here and there. There's some awkward moments and awkward game design in a lot of areas of this video game. And today I want to talk about what I would want to see in a sequel. Where is Ghost of Tsushima 2? And what is Ghost of Tsushima 2? Let's dive in. I want to talk about what would give a Ghost of Tsushima sequel its edge. What are the 5 things that would give this sequel edge? And first on the list is bigger cities for me. This is Umugi Cove, which is one of the more intricate and bigger cities in the game. It's kind of got vibes a little bit. It is massive, but there's nothing to really do here. Yeah, you have your little trapper, you have your shop over here. There's some temple grounds. God, this game is gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. Look at this place. Look how amazing this place looks. Holy moly. It always amazes me whenever I come to Umugi Cove. It's one of my favorite locations in the game. But again, it's desolate. There's nothing to do. There's no one to really talk to. There's no, like, there should be a gambling hall here. This should be where I can play shogi with the boys. In the actual story of this video game, this city is described as a seedy place, right? There's danger here. It's kind of creepy. There might be some prostitution going on. There might be some illegal gambling and illicit acts happening. But you don't really see that stuff. You don't really feel that stuff here in this city. It's kind of, well, to be frank, it's kind of boring. The only thing you really get to do in these big cities is jump around and climb stuff and maybe find secrets. But other than that, there's not really much to do. You're kind of just, you're doing nothing. Look at this place. Where I have not been in here. It's like a room full of cages. What's going on here? Look, this game is filled with incredible locations. These cities and towns and villages look excellent. But like I said, there's just nothing really to do there. They're kind of just like environmental playgrounds to jump around in and maybe find a secret or two, or maybe find some strange side quest, or maybe be the backdrop for an invasion. But other than that, they don't feel like lived-in places. They feel like sets for our character to explore, or our action to take place. And that can be kind of frustrating with a game as gorgeous and as beautiful as Ghost of Tsushima. I want to see that stuff more fleshed out. I want to say that Fune's Refuge is probably the best town in the game. This was in the Iki Island DLC. And this town probably has the best vibes, probably feels the most lived in. It's not much, but it's something, right? This guy they're pushing each other. Look, they're alive, right? This person's vomiting over here. You all right, bud? The main thing that kind of breaks the traditions in this town, the main thing that sets this town apart, is the tournament. There is straight up a tournament arc in this town, and you get to participate, and it's some of the more interesting duels in the entirety of the game. I'm looking around, I'm trying to find a way to like replay them so I can capture the footage, but there's literally no way to like reduel those people, which is so strange because you can reduel boss fights in the game, but I cannot do this. I can no longer participate in this tournament because I'm the champion. And that's what I mean. Like, that, why restrict yourself? Like, I should be able to do this all the time to earn money. I think the main thing that's sorely missing from Ghost of Tsushima is a city, right? These are all like little villages and small temple grounds and really just like a couple of buildings. These aren't cities. This isn't Kyoto. And I want to go to Kyoto. I want the next game to be set in mainland Japan. I want to see a feudal Kyoto with giant buildings and just alleyways and streets upon streets upon streets. I want to be able to do missions in town, having to sneak around inside certain temples and things like that. I think it opens the gates for lots of different types of gameplay, specifically stealth. But you know, even the more bombastic stuff, I think could be insane in a giant city. I want to feel the presence of the shogun. I want to feel the presence of law and order, and I think that could kind of set the game apart. I want to have like samurai guards, you know, guarding gates and fishing villages around the mainland of Japan. Like, I think that could be really, really cool. Add some politics, add some more interesting characters, add an economy. The second big thing that I think would give Ghost of Tsushima 2 an edge would be an economy. There really isn't money in Ghost of Tsushima. There's flowers that you pick up. You use those flowers to purchase dyes. There's animal hides you pick up. You use those hides to upgrade your capacity for arrows. And then there's just weird resources you pick up like steel and iron and things of that sort. And you just upgrade stuff with it. That's really it. There's no way to like purchase new outfits. There's no way to like purchase new swords. That's not really a thing in this game. You're only upgrading, which I find kind of strange. There's a couple of shopkeepers here and there that'll sell you certain hats and things of that sort, but that's really it. And that's kind of weird, if I'm being honest. In Iki Island alone, there are archery challenges to participate in. There's a slew of Mongol territories to conquer and NPCs to help out, and you don't receive a single dime for any of them. And that's not how the game is structured, right? There's no money in this game, so there's not a ton of incentive to do any of this side content. I'm not really grinding. I'm not really like leveling up, I guess, kind of. It's all about notoriety, right? You're building your notoriety so people can start realizing who the ghost is. And it works really, really well kind of in the beginning stages of the game. But towards the end of the game, in the final act of the game, you don't have much incentive to liberate these fishing villages or help these NPCs. You don't really get anything in return. And I'm pretty much maxed out by the end of the game. Like, I've leveled up pretty much everything that I care about, so there's just not a lot to do by the final act. I think that's when the story really starts firing on all cylinders, and there's alleviation there for sure, but there's room for so much more. I think an economy and bigger cities kind of go hand in hand, to be honest with you, because with an economy, you have more things to do, right? If there's fishing in the game, or gambling, or shogi, I can receive money for those things. There could also be bounties, right? You could have like a bounty board in the local saloon, and you can find people to hunt down and receive money that way. And then you could purchase things, right? There would be more things for Jin Sakai to wear. Different clothing, different beards, different hairstyles. Maybe we could customize our swords, you know, add different hilts and different types of blades and just all kinds of customization within the character. Maybe get tattoos. That would be kind of sick. It would be pretty sick to have like Jin with like kanji all over him. That would be awesome to me. Face paints could be a thing. That they haven't really touched that. There's so much customization in Ghost of Tsushima already. I just think that adding money to it would make it even more satisfying to receive those items. And just to be clear, I do really like picking up resources. I do like having to pick up iron to upgrade the sword. I think that you could still do that, but you know, what about new swords? What about new weapons? Oh yeah. The number 3 thing that would give Ghost of Tsushima to its edge would be more weapons. I want to be able to use a naginata. Like, why can't I do that? Samurai use naginata. I've seen pictures of it. You have a character, Norio, that uses a naginata. I thought for sure when Norio was introduced in the game, I think he's in the late game of the second act, he has this naginata, and you're like, holy shit, there's gonna be a naginata in this game. Norio is about to teach us how to use it. And I think that should be in the game. Claws. Why can't Jin have claws? Shuriken is another thing. Different types of poison. There's only 2 poisons I think that you could do some stuff with poisons that would be really sick. I want more ways to approach combat in this game. You'll have to excuse my fervor here, but I'm imagining a way to cast a net on an enemy, right? If there's bounties, you know, I want to do these bounties so I can earn some money, and I need to capture somebody alive. What if I could lasso him up some way and throw him on my horse and have to carry him back to the Shogun? Like, stuff like that I think could be really sick. The grappling hook in the game, like, you already have that, but they kind of barely scratched the surface of a grappling hook. I really do think that big things are coming to the grappling hook for Ghost of Tsushima 2. I think just being able to use the grappling hook in combat, it feels weird that I can't swing my grappling hook around and grab an enemy and pull them closer to me. Being able to pull archers off of towers would be extremely helpful. Being able to pull an enemy shield out of their hand. Dude, shielded enemies in Ghost of Tsushima are a menace. They're a pain in the ass. Let me yank that shield out, man. Let me yank a katana out of another samurai's hand with my grappling hook. Let me be able to just to use my grappling hook more freely, not just whenever there's a little flag on something that means that I can hook to it. Let me just hook on anything. I think more versatility with the grappling hook could kind of change how we approach exploration in the game, and combat, obviously. There's a lot of verticality in Iki Island especially, and it was kind of hard to get around sometimes. To find all the vanity items, yeah, the wind will tell you the direction it's at, but that's just about it. What if I need to get up this cliff? The only way up that cliff is all the way around, and there's no fast travel points in that area, so you gotta walk all the way around, and I kind of want to just be able to throw a grappling hook up there and just scale the side of a mountain. Why not? I'm currently on the website All Ninja Gear, and look at all this stuff. Look at all the weapons that they could add to this game. Nunchucks? Like, why aren't nunchucks in the game? That would be super sick. Size would be really, really cool. Let's look at other ninja weapons. What's going on here? A steel combat fan? Professional chain whip? What is this thing? Black Legion Mini Ninja neck knife? What? Oh, Tonfa are so sick. Jin Sakai with some Tonfa? That would be amazing. A Mariki chain? Yeah, this stuff looks awesome. This is the kind of stuff that I want to see in Ghost of Tsushima 2. Now, you probably noticed how I was only looking at ninja weapons. But Fumi, isn't Jin Sakai a samurai? Not anymore. The number 4 thing that I think would give Ghost of Tsushima 2 its edge is to embrace the ninja. To me, sneaking around and using stealth is really where this game shines. At least for me, like, I really approached every stronghold with stealth in mind, at first at least, and then I would get caught, and yeah, that's when I would crack out the ghost stance and start whooping some ass. And that part of the game is also super, super fun, but I love being a ninja. And I start thinking about the story of this game. Like, what is Ghost of Tsushima 2 about? What is this game? And I really do think that, like, the birth of the shinobi could kind of be this game's gimmick, this game's idea. It's the birth of ninja. Jin Sakai, yeah, we're kind of dealing with some alt history stuff, but Jin Sakai is the one that creates the shinobi. Now, I don't know enough about Japanese history to, like, really dig into there. This is some, I'll have to do my research for sure. But I want ninja. I want there to be ninja clans, maybe even scrolls that we can use. Like, let's just go full fantasy now. Let's have a fire style fireball jutsu. Like, I'm okay with that. Would you guys be mad about that? Oh my God, what about walking on water? I remember seeing, like, footage of some ninja in, like, Japan. Back in, like, middle school, people were sharing around these videos of, like, ninja running on water. Like, look, Naruto is real. They did this shit in real life. And they had these, like, big, I guess, like, fans on their feet in order to float on the water. These, like, big bamboo, like, platforms or whatever. And I think that could be kind of sick in this game, to be honest with you. Being able to, like, walk on water is awesome. Also, like, the little tube for snorkeling as well when you're sneaking around. Like, I want to have the little bamboo tube. You can dive in the original Tsushima, but I want to be able to stay under there, you know, completely survey a camp or an enemy stronghold just underwater the whole time. That could be awesome. I think they need to find a reason to get Jin to mainland Japan. There really isn't a reason he needs to be there. They kind of allude a little bit to Kyoto being a substantial place. I mean, it obviously is in history a substantial place at that time, but also they mention Kyoto a lot. There's a headband that you can find that's called Kyoto Twilight. And I think of Sensei Shikawa's student who leaves the island and goes to Kyoto. She literally says, I'm going to Kyoto. And she's so cool. She has this like awesome Anbu mask that you can get from her. And I feel like that's our gateway in, right? We have her there already. She could be a reoccurring character in the game, maybe one of the main characters in the game. You already know her, and she's doing some ninja shit, and Jin sees this ninja shit, and there's some plan to assassinate the Shogun, and Jin wants to stop that, but it's all covert ops. It's all in the shadows. Again, I think all of these things complement each other, right? If we have Kyoto, that's our big city. Our big city will have economy, and in this city, there's going to be alleyways and dark corners, and I think being a ninja and running on these rooftops and climbing up the Shogun's castle, like, that's the kind of stuff I want to experience in Ghost of Tsushima 2. I think a lot of Tsushima 1 was about exploring the wildlands, right? Exploring the island and hanging out in tall grass and bamboo forest, and it is gorgeous and beautiful, and I don't want that stuff to go away. But look, I think Sucker Punch is really experienced at making big open world cities. They've done it several times already now. I think of even like Sly Cooper. Sneaking around in Sly Cooper is super fun. Being around those urban environments, I think, could really kind of change up the gameplay and just the whole loop of everything. I think sneaking around a city is significantly more fun than sneaking around a forest. The last thing I want to talk about, the last thing that I think would make Ghost of Tsushima 2 have its edge, again, I don't even know what that means at this point. What would make Ghost of Tsushima 2 significantly better than the first game would be a better story. So full disclosure, I did just beat this game like a few days ago at this point. And I do love the story. I really do love Jin Sakai. I think his voice actor is really, really good. I think I love his face. I love Jin Sakai as a character. But if I'm being totally honest with you, I really didn't feel his struggle with morality as much as the game wanted me to. There's a couple key pivotal moments where Jin Sakai makes a darker decision, a decision that might, damage his samurai status. And there is some drama between Shimura and him on their war tactics and things of that sort. But there just wasn't enough of that. There wasn't enough of a emotional core to the story. I think Iki Island kind of delivered more on that than the actual main game. Jin Sakai feeling that guilt within himself for not doing anything about his father's death, not trying to save him. He was a coward in that situation. Him dealing with that guilt throughout Iki Island was probably the biggest emotional core I felt with Jin Sakai as a character. Also, the dialogue gets a hell of a lot better in Iki as well. Throughout the entirety of the OG Tsushima game, there's a ton of just really stilted, awkward dialogue where characters are talking to each other, but it feels like we're just reading off of a script. There's these weird pauses in between exchanges that feel, again, super awkward. There's like characters that they try to have fun with, like Kenji, who is this like sake salesman, and he's like always drunk, but he never really does anything important in the story, and his character, he's never really that funny. It just feels like your weird, goofy cousin that's always trying to be funny in family interactions, but never really is, so he just comes off as annoying. But again, Iki kind of alleviated that stuff. There was a lot more humor, and it was a little more lighthearted, but still dealing with those heavy themes of guilt that Jin Sakai feels for his entire clan. Being in Fune's refuge and talking with Fune specifically, and talking to the murderer of your father, and having that interaction with him and becoming friends with him, and then shitting on each other. Right? They shit on each other. They're like, oh, well, I could have done that better, or I could have did this better, or they're cracking jokes with each other. And that's something that's just not really in the original game. And I think that there's so much more room for improvement there. Let's give Jin Sakai more of a personality. Let's give the world more of a personality. Let's make a statement. Let's say something here. And I think the first game kind of fails to do that. I do like the morality stuff, right? That's what Sucker Punch does. It's what they've been doing for a while, but I don't want them to feel constricted by that. There doesn't have to be a good or a bad side. I just want to see Jin be Jin and him crack a smile or crack a joke. And again, I think having a big city where there's tons of stuff to interact with, like shogi or other forms of gambling, or even brothels and fishing and bounty hunting, I think there's more room for Jin Sakai to be a more charismatic hero. I also think that the original Tsushima, including Iki, it's missing an antagonist, right? There's not like a bad guy that I like. The Mongols never really do it for me in terms of like, oh, I actually care about this, or I actually get where the Mongols are coming from. They're kind of just like, they're bad guys. They're just doing their thing. There's some artifacts that you can find and records that you can find that do add more layers to the Mongols, but as far as a character, a bad guy, the main bad guy, the Khan, he doesn't really do much for me. And in Iki Island, there's a new Khan, and she doesn't really do much for me as well. I think that having the bad guy be the Shogun or be an opposing samurai, I think that's much more interesting. There's the character Ryuzo, who is Jin Sakai's childhood friend that you have to duel, and this is like the halfway point of the game. And you just kill him, and he kind of goes away, and that kind of sucks, because I think Ryuzo was probably the more interesting villain there, and that duel was honestly more epic than fighting the Khan. Like, that felt like much more personal to Jin as a character. Obviously, fighting Shimura at the end, that's where the game's emotional, weight really starts to hit, and that's like the real antagonist of the game, kind of, and I think it does a really good job of conveying that. But I don't know, I guess I want a bad guy that's like, do I really want to kill this person? Am I really the good guy in this situation? Whereas with the Mongols, like, yeah, absolutely, they're destroying our home. Like, we need to push these people out. It doesn't feel like a clash of ideologies. It just feels like a clash. So those are the 5 things that I think would give Tsushima 2 an edge over its predecessor. But just to be clear, I'm just having a good time talking about things that I want to see in a sequel. But make no mistake, I do think that Sony does have very, very big plans for Ghost of Tsushima as an IP. Look, we know there's a movie coming. We know that Sucker Punch has been hiring. We haven't heard a peep from Sucker Punch in a little while. I feel like we're on the precipice of a big announcement coming relatively soon. I think we could see a Tsushima 2 as early as next year. And that's so crazy. I'm so excited. I feel like I played this game at just the right time where like the wait in between a sequel isn't going to be unbearable. And that's another thing I definitely want to point out here. I might have made some criticisms here and there about the original game. I love the original game. I am dying to play more. I'm like thinking about platinuming it. I'm thinking about just getting all the vanity items, finding all the secrets. Like, I kind of just want to do that because I'm not ready to not be a samurai. Make sure to comment down below and give me your thoughts on all the stuff that I talked about today, as well as your own opinions. What do you want to see in a Ghost of Tsushima 2? Comment below and give me your thoughts. Hit the like button if you enjoyed anything that I had to talk about today. I greatly appreciate it. It helps the video out a ton. It also helps the channel out a ton. Subscribing would mean a lot as well. Join the party. I have links down below to my Twitch channel, my Discord. Join the party. Thank you very, very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.